Hey, let's face it, budgeting stinks. There, I said it. It feels like a financial straitjacket. You got to cut this, skip that, never have fun. But what if the entire mindset is just dead wrong? So today, we're going to flip the script. We're going to show you how to build a real budget, one that prioritizes the 3 non-negotiable expenses that let you live really well now and enjoying life now, but also set you up to crush it in the future and have a very, very prosperous financial future. So stay tuned. We're going to show you exactly what that is. I'm on a mission to help 200,000 practice owners achieve financial freedom. I'm Eric Miller, author of How to Become a Financial Beast. Download my free book today, A Practice Owner's Guide to Personal and Business Wealth You Never Thought Possible. Hey, welcome back to the Financial Beast Podcast. I am your host, Eric Miller, co-owner and chief financial advisor at Econologics Financial Advisors. If you don't know who we are, what are we? We are people that help healthcare owners achieve financial stability.
And their associates.
Through our system, which offers premier financial advice and guidance. You can check us out at econologicsfinancialadvisors.com. And just a reminder, we need more subscribers. So do me a favor and hit the subscribe buttons and make sure that you get notifications of any time that we drop an awesome video like what we're about to do right now. All right. And by the way, I'm joined by one of my advisors, Mr. Eric Gersh.
The greatest.
Brandly anointed speaker.
Yes.
Now. And
that was an experience.
And now you have spoken in front of, 150 people or whatever it was?
Yeah. And I was expecting,
20
35,
or 30?
40.
Okay. What was the most nerve-wracking thing about speaking in front of 100 and something people?
It wasn't even the speaking part. It was standing up there waiting to begin, and they just didn't stop coming. It's a good thing. I mean, it's not a bad thing, obviously, but I'm standing up there at the podium, like just waiting for the clock to strike 2 so that I could start talking. And it's just
people just kept on coming in.
And all of a sudden you go from 50 empty seats to 5 to people standing to, and it's just like
standing room only. And what was the top? I mean, the topic was what? It was
the topic was how to harness the power of your practice for financial freedom.
Okay,
so it's one of our signature talks.
I think it was like the financial keys to harness your practice and build a prosperous future.
Yeah, that's another tomato, but
yeah, pretty much.
You know what I meant.
Okay, good.
It was a great talk. It was a good talk, and there was a lot of engagement. So I guess I did a good job.
Good, man. I'm glad. I'm proud of you. That means that I don't have to do every single flipping talk in this office for the next, 10 years.
Oh, we'll see.
Yeah, we will.
We'll see.
I mean, you know how the girls are. Once they find something successful, they'll just discard me like a freaking piece of dead meat. Right? They'll just be like, well, he had his run. It was good. But
He's not needed anymore.
It's over now. We do not need him anymore.
Yep.
I'm fine with that, dude. I'll just go get my farm in Kentucky, and you guys will see me maybe 3 times a year. That's about it.
Farmer Miller. That's one thing I never thought I would see when I started here. You were living downtown, driving a 2-door BMW, and now look at you. You want a farm, you got a pickup truck, and you just need to put a dip in and a pair of overalls, and you're good to go, brother.
My wife would kill me if I started dipping. That's one thing I can't do. I can't.
Yeah.
Fair. I can't do that. Right.
Yeah, don't get cancer. That wouldn't be great.
All right. So, frivolous spending is what we're going to talk about today.
Yes.
Unnecessary spending.
Yes.
I mean,
they're one and the same,
I guess. Are we talking about the practice or for the household or both? Okay.
I think people are just looking at what can I do, or what mental tricks or money tricks, or I don't even know how to word it, but what can I do to make it easier to not just spend. And a lot of it's discipline, right? At the end of the day, there's nothing that's going to solve your spending problem more than discipline. You can cut up cards, you can do all that BS, but you got to have the discipline, right?
That, and you have to have a system in place of how the money is being channeled and for what purposes, right?
Like a budget.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to that degree, and you have to know kind of some of the natural laws too. We talk a lot about like the two main natural laws. And of course, we've seen this, in businesses, we've seen it in governments, we've seen it in households, is that, look, if you don't have discipline, then your household, your business is going to try to spend everything that it makes and then some.
Yep.
People have a tough time with that because they're like, no. I know how to put control in, but it's not really that. It's just like that is the tendency.
Yeah.
Right. That is a human tendency. Okay. Something comes in. I want to see it get. I want to see. They can't tolerate nothing. Right.
Yep.
And I'll say that another way. How many times have I've put people in some kind of an investment, okay, that was pretty conservative and didn't really do anything for a period of time, and it drove them mad.
Yep.
Right? They would rather see it go down 20% than to see it do nothing. Okay?
You're not wrong.
I'm convinced of that.
No,
100%.
I agree.
So, that is something that's real. Okay. So people can't tolerate just money sitting in an account, okay, doing nothing.
No.
And that's why they spend it. Okay. Because they've been told that, hey, you got to consume. We got to put the money to work, blah, 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 blah. But I forgot where we were going with that. But that's you have to understand that is a natural tendency. You're going to consume everything that you make. Okay. If you allow it. Yes. You have to have a system in place. So I don't think I'm not for like, all right, let's talk about a budget then. Okay. Now, what do you like? How do you coach your people when it comes to budgeting?
Well, I mean, I guess I kind of almost do it backwards. I mean, at least for the people, the bulk of people who are using financial advisors, I mean, I'm of the belief that you don't have to budget per se down to the penny, right?
No.
If you're making good money, you don't really have to budget. But what you have to do is work backwards and say, okay, here's my fixed bills, right? My mortgage, utilities, car insurance, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How much is that?
Yep.
And then my savings. How much do I have to put away each month to aggressively save? Not,
but you treat it like it is like
a set expense.
Yeah, that's the key. Yeah.
And say those two things add up to, I don't know, $10,000 a month, and you make $15,000 a month. Well, you've got another $5,000 that you can use to, have, and not that you have to blow through all of it, but that's your discretionary money.
Yeah.
Because you've already saved, you've already paid all your bills.
Yeah.
So it's free money.
I mean, you just described simplicity of the three buckets.
Yeah.
Okay. So if everyone's like trying to figure out like, well, how much should I budget? How much should I spend? It's like, no. It is, how much does your lifestyle cost? Your basic expenses. And again, let's make sure we're clear on that. Okay. It is mortgages. It is car payments. It is student loans. It is food.
Yep.
Okay. It is, some monthly entertainment. It is, nicks and knacks that you're going to need.
Yep.
And whatever that would consist of. And taxes.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
Okay? And taxes. Taxes are part of that.
Yep.
Okay. Taxes are part of that. So figure out what that is. And you know what? there's plenty of apps out there that can figure that out, and there's plenty of like other sources out there that can give you like data on credit cards so that can track your spending and all that stuff on what that is. And it's not hard to do. Okay. The second bucket is going to be how much I'm aggressively putting away for future investments and income.
Yep.
It's simple. Like, so how much are you max funding your qualified plans? How much are you putting in any other kind of investment portfolio that you have?
Yep.
Okay. And, typically you got to be putting enough away that is aligned with when you want to, of how much income you want to derive from passive income. I don't know if there's a timeline on it. It's more of an income number. Like how much do I have to have? So it's, I'm creating this amount of income. You can be super aggressive, try to have it done in 10 years or 5 years or 7 years. Or you can, say, well, I'm okay with 20 or 25 years, but there has to be a dedicated amount that you're allocating to that. And typically that's something that we can figure out with a financial advisor like us.
Yeah.
We'll do that. Okay. And then the last bucket is just like you said, discretionary. That would be like, and I go, what do you consider discretionary?
Going out to eat. If I go to like a Tampa Bay Lightning game,
Vacation.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, that is discretionary.
Other hobbies that you have.
Golf.
Fine.
Yeah. Really, anything that isn't a bill or isn't necessary to survive,
Yeah.
within real, like my gym membership, right? I don't consider that discretionary. I consider that just part of my monthly
expenses.
That's
part of your monthly expenses.
Because you need it to be healthy.
Yeah.
Sure, I can live without a gym if I want, but you need it to stay in shape.
What about like supplements and, and all that other stuff too? If you buy a bunch of supplements, vitamins.
You could argue it both ways. I don't know. I don't really take a bunch of I take a couple, but I don't spend much at all. So
yeah, and I guess we're it's kind of like
it's just what's important to you.
Exactly. Like what are the things that I'm sure there's people that I know that love to go skydiving, or they want to go, just like you said, golfing, or they want to. There's just something that costs a lot of money.
Yep.
Okay. Or if you want to buy that Gucci bag, or if you want to buy the nice glasses or whatever it is,
Yeah, some people care about that.
Yeah. I know,
but
you don't either. It's discretionary. It would be discretionary. So you just have to allot for it. See, and that's where people get in trouble, is that they do the whole budgeting backwards. And I get it, for people on a fixed income, it's hard you have to do that. But for people that are like even associate doctors or owners, you don't have to do that.
I think most people do it.
Yeah.
Bills, discretionary, savings.
Yeah.
As the order.
It's probably that order.
Yep.
And, I would probably say I would like it to be savings, fixed, discretionary. Like make that first one the biggest priority. Because that really is going to represent your freedom at some point in time.
Yes.
So why shouldn't that be the biggest priority? And then, of course, the fixed bucket, and those are always going to go up too, because bills are always going to go up.
Yep.
every single year. So
you're not going to get cheaper.
Yeah. So you're going to have to account for that every single year when you're doing your planning, for how much you need to make. This is an exercise that we do with a lot of owners too, because, we have to then show them, hey, look, when we really break this down, if you want to be retired in 15 years, if you want to have a lifestyle where you can afford your freaking $5,000 mortgage and, all the country club memberships and everything like that you would want. Look, man, you're going to need to be bringing in at least 30 to 35,000 a month personal income from the business. Okay.
Yep.
So then, what does the business need to do to be able to provide for that?
Yep. I just did that today. I was doing a review with a client today and went through and showed her, okay, here's how much the business needs to bring in to cover your savings, your income that you want to make, your taxes, your debt that you pay.
Yep.
And,
What did it end up
the
being?
funny part is this client had actually just calculated this herself,
Mm-hmm.
and we came to literally the exact same number.
Really?
But I will say she's also works as a business consultant, so she's got a little more knowledge than most.
Yeah. I was curious, how much was it?
Production wise, it was $400 a month.
Okay, so her practice needed to do $400,000 a month?
Or no, I'm sorry, it wasn't $400 a month. It was $4 million a year, which is $333 a month. And I came out to $335.
Okay. And then what did she want to take home?
A lot.
I know. It's okay. I want to this is
600 to $1 million.
Okay, great. So that's about what, 60 to 80,000 a month?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the reality. She probably wanted to pretty aggressively she wanted to probably save 20 or 25,000 a month.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she's saving more than that. Yep.
Yeah, 30,000 a month. I mean, that is what I think most people should be looking at. 30 to 40% of what they're making to aggressively put towards investments. And they're just not, most people aren't doing that.
Yeah, I mean, for her, and she has a larger practice than the average client does, but for her, even if she's saving, 8% of her revenue, she's putting away $350,000 a year.
Yeah.
That's gonna grow and compound pretty fast over, like you said, even if it's over a decade, that's probably $5 million with growth.
Yeah. And I think that's where people are you're missing the boat when you don't set up your business to essentially do that. You just don't realize how much you're missing.
You're missing all that. And then what ultimately happens is that money, instead of getting saved, gets spent in the discretionary bucket.
Yeah.
So it all goes back to what we said in the beginning about making your savings an expense, just like your mortgage. It's just as important.
Yeah. It has to be on that level of necessity.
Yep.
And I think that's probably the area where we see it's the least amount of necessity. Yep. And that's pretty much where everybody is when it comes to how they budget. They budget backwards.
Because I think it's just that human nature of, everybody wants to save, but do they? I can start next week.
Yeah.
Or I can start at, there's always a after.
Yeah, look, it's hard to walk it back, isn't it? It's hard to walk it back when you are in a position where you are already, I mean, we've seen this with a lot of business owners. We've seen this with a lot of people where they're already pretty much leveraged, and there's, because what's the first thing that we're asking people to do? Hey, I need you to start saving, 10% of your practice revenue. Oh, I can't do it.
Yep.
Okay. How about 5%? Oh, I can't do that. Okay. How about 3%? I can't do that. I mean, sometimes you're lucky to get people to even confront 1%.
Yep.
To start. Why? Because they're consuming everything that comes in. Yeah, but it's going to rent, and it's going to payroll, and it's going to, whatever it is.
Yeah, I'm sure it is, and
it's very real to them. I see it. It's very real. Like I don't have it. There's no extras there. It's all gone.
Yep.
It is all gone. Every single month. And I'm like, yeah. So now we have to walk it back. And that's a very tough thing to do, is to walk it back. Yeah. Okay. But it is necessary to walk it back.
I'm dealing with that right now with a different client.
Yeah.
And they're getting close to retirement, and reality's sinking in that you're going to have to cut your spending probably by 50% to survive.
I mean, to survive well, which,
Oh, no, to survive.
Yeah.
If they don't cut their spending 50%, they won't make it a decade.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. And some people are just, but I think that just goes back to, there's a term, maybe you look it up while we're doing this, called time preference. Like, look up low time preference and high time preference. We're going to educate some of the people on here that are listening to this right now.
In behavioral economics, time preference is the current relative valuation placed on receiving a good at an earlier date compared to receiving it at a later date. I never even heard. I mean, obviously I know what that means, but I've never actually heard that term before.
Yeah. So I think if
people
you
want it now.
Exactly. So if you have a high time preference, it means you want everything right now.
Yep.
I need to consume it right now. I want that thing right now, whatever it is. Yep. Okay. I need it right now. Okay. And I don't really care what the actual cost is of doing that. You know who else has that kind of a viewpoint? Who has, this is going to sound bad, but
I think I know what you're going to say, but I'm going to let you say it.
What am I going to say?
Go ahead.
A criminal.
Criminal. Pretty much what I thought. Yep.
Yeah. A criminal needs to have everything right now, and they don't really care about the consequences of anything, right? That is a criminal mindset right there. I want it now. I don't care who I hurt. I want it now.
Yep.
Okay. So when you guys are out there and when you have people around you that are just demanding things, I need them right now, right now, right now, right now, it's a good indicator. I'm not saying their people are criminals, but they're going down the slippery slope, you know? And if you have a low time preference, which is basically, I don't need everything right now.
Yep.
I can, and you know what? I'm willing to invest and save and forego consumption for the ability to have more freedom down the line.
Yep.
Okay. And there's some people that try to operate that way. I try to operate that way.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty good at doing that myself.
And it's not necessarily easy because there's a certain demand that you have on a household, right? Yeah. And, kids and everything else. It's like, and there's always some expense that comes up and blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
And it's tough. I get it. It's a tough thing to do, but you have to be a bit resilient with it. And you have to say, no, I'm not forgoing everything just for the present day, whatever the perceived problem is right now that we can't seem to solve any other way.
Yep.
Okay. So I think it's you just have to have some stones, man, and you got to be able to say no. And you got to be able to say no to other people. And you have to demand from other people that if they want something, what are they going to do for it? Like what is the effort that's going to be, put forth?
Yeah.
Okay. Because, I've always heard this, like if you reward people that don't produce, you're going to get more of the people that don't produce. Okay. You're going to get more of that. Okay. And if you reward people that do produce, then guess what? Chances are they're going to want to produce more because they get rewarded.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you try to do it the other way around, it's going to fail.
Yep.
And I think that's the thing that we're trying.
I think behavioral finance works the exact same way.
Yeah. I think you're right. So
it's like people that go on vacations, but they do it by putting it on a credit card.
Yeah. Which is fine but you got to pay it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine to put it on the card and then pay it off. It's not fine to put it on the card and then say, okay, we'll figure out how to pay it off.
Yeah. There's now I got a $9,000 credit card bill at a 25% interest rate. That's not that bad, and it just starts a slippery slope. You have to pay attention to this stuff and you have to not let it consume.
Yep.
Okay. And it's a tough thing to do, but it's a necessity if you want to have financial survival and you want to be prosperous.
Yeah.
And you want to be able to do things down the line that, you can do. And in the meantime, take care of yourself, treat your body, treat your health well.
Yeah.
And if you do all those things and are responsible for then you should be able to enjoy, the latter part of your life a little bit less stressful when it comes to, personal finances.
Yep.
That's just not the world we're living in right now. I don't know if it's always been like that. I'm trying to think,
probably
back when I was a kid, if it was, there was always new things that people wanted to buy, and people didn't save, even back in the 90s, did people save as much? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'd have to look historically at the savings rate of people to see what it's been. I'm sure it's a lot less right now because inflation is eating purchasing power. And I don't think real wages are going up that much.
Yeah, real wages compared to cost of living, they have not kept pace, and
yeah.
So I would guess the savings rate has gone down. I would also guess on the flip side that the desire, just the desire, but I would guess the desire to save has actually gone up because of access to information.
Yeah.
But actual savings has gone down.
I mean, you'd like to think so. People would, have seen like it is, the sequence should be earn, save, invest, right?
Yes.
And the people forget about the first part, which is earning.
Yeah, you got to make the money first.
Yeah, you got to make it, and then you got to channel it to a place where it's not going to get consumed. Then you have to invest it. And if you just do that for a period of time, I just think the probability is pretty high that good things are going to happen to you.
Yeah.
Okay. But when you don't do those three things and you just earn and consume, and then I think that's where you're just going to lead yourself down a slippery slope.
Yep.
So anyway, all right. I think that's good.
All right.
So
Till
remember,
next time.
Yeah. Remember what we talked about. Take heed. We'll see you guys on the next one.